Hello everyone, this is Travis Tressler again from Play Tennis Gainesville, and I'm here to talk to you about the two-handed backhand ground stroke. Had a little change in scenery today, little windy outside, so I'm bringing it to you from inside the garage. In some previous videos, we've talked about our forehand ground stroke and also the one-handed backhand ground stroke. In the video today, we'll talk about the two-handed backhand, some of the advantages, disadvantages, the grips we're going to use with both hands, our parameters, 5 steps to that swing, and then finally some drills that you can do on your own. First thing I want to talk about today are the advantages and disadvantages for the two-handed backhand compared to our one-handed backhand. So before I get going here, I want to make it very clear that there's no right or wrong when it comes to deciding which backhand to hit. Either one works. It's whatever's most comfortable for yourself as a player. When we're talking about the two-handed backhands, I want to go over 4 advantages we're going to get with our shot. First one, it's going to be more stable. Since we have 2 hands on that racket, it's going to help us be more stable at contact and keep that racket in place. Second advantage with our two-handed backhand, we're going to be able to generate more power. It's the same idea as the stability, but since we have both hands on that racket, our opposite hands, non-dominant hands, that's going to allow us to get more force, more power on that ball. Third advantage, it's high balls. Talked about this a little bit with our one-handed backhands, but it's very hard to hit with topspin when we're using one hand. That second hand on the racket, it's going to be a little bit easier to hit with topspin, and you won't have to slice that high ball. The last advantage I want to discuss is the return of serve. With that two-handed backhand, comes with that stability. It's going to be a lot easier to return with topspin and power using both hands on the racket in comparison to one hand. Just like anything, there's going to be advantages, but also disadvantages to using 2 hands on our backhand. So I want to go over 2 disadvantages we're going to see hitting a two-handed backhand. The first one is going to be low balls. Since we have that second hand on the racket, it's going to limit our reach, and it's going to be a little bit harder to get underneath that ball and hit with topspin on low balls. Second disadvantage involves the slice. Since we have that left hand on the grip, it's going to be a little more effort if we want to slice to slide that hand up and hit a one-handed slice. It'll also be easier for our opponents to tell what kind of shot we're going to hit. If we have 2 hands on the racket, my opponent's going to know that either a topspin or flat ball's coming. If I take that opposite hand off the grip and put it on the throat, they're going to know I'm hitting that slice. Before we talk about the grips we're going to use for the two-handed backhand, I want to reiterate the fact that there's no right or wrong answer when it comes to using 2 hands versus 1. It really is something that comes down to how comfortable you are hitting either shot. Now let's talk about the grips. So I first want to talk about our non-dominant hands, the hand on the top of the grip. For me, I'm right-handed, so I'm going to be using my left hand. I'm going to be holding that grip right on this bevel in the middle of the racket there. That'll be my non-dominant hand grip. For my dominant hand, there's 2 options I can use. The first one is going to be our continental grip. Going to be lined up with this edge of the racket, and there's bevel right there where our knuckle should be lined up with. That's the first grip we can use with our dominant hand. If we want to try to get a little more spin on the ball, you can slide that grip up towards the top of the grip to that Eastern backhand grip we talked about with the one-handed backhands. This will force the racket face to close a little bit more at contact and allow us to get more topspin. Once again, there isn't a right or wrong answer for this grip with your dominant hand. It's going to come down to what you're comfortable with. Now that we've talked about the advantages and disadvantages in the grips we're going to be using, I want to go over the 5 steps, 5 parameters for our two-handed backhands. They're going to be the exact same as our forehand and one-handed backhands, but our finish at the end is going to be a little bit different than the one-handed backhands. As always, we're starting in our ready position. Since I'm hitting the two-handed backhand, instead of having my left hand, non-dominant hand on the throat, I'm going to slide it down to the grip here. First step is my unit turn. So I'm not going to move my feet. I'm just going to start to move my body, turn those hips to the side, and I'll also be changing my grip with the right hand. From here, I'm going to go into my load. I'll step in with my right foot, opposite foot. My racket will come back, keeping both hands on the grip. From here, I go to contact. Want to make sure my strings are facing straight ahead towards my target, not facing up to the sky, not facing down to the ground, straight ahead there. 4th parameter is going to be extension. So I'm going to make contact and extend my whole body into the court. 5th step is going to be finish. So I'll follow through over my opposite shoulder, finish that swing all the way. So we've got unit turn, start to turn those hips, change the grip, load, step in with that opposite foot, swing forward to contact, extension, follow through. Now that we've gone over the basics of our swing for the two-handed backhands, I want to talk about some drills you can do at home. First one, super easy, shadow swinging. We don't need a ton of space. You just need enough open space where you're not hitting anything with your racket and you can swing fully. All I'm going to do, I'm going to take it slow at the beginning and really try to burn those parameters, those steps into my mind. Be here, go unit turn, load, contact, extend, follow through. Take it slow here at the beginning. Thinking about my parameters. Once I'm comfortable with that, I can try to speed it up to real time. It's really important that if you have a mirror or a camera, something to watch yourself do it, because we may feel like we're doing all the steps correctly, but you won't know that until you actually watch yourself swinging. Next drill I want to show you, we've talked about previously with our other 2 ground strokes. This is a great drill for children 10 and under, and it gets them familiar with the grip. So, we're going to take the racket, hold the continental grip with my dominant hand. I'm going to get my hand, my palm, facing towards my leg. That's going to be a backhand grip. Found some household items here in the garage to make a little obstacle course, make it a little challenging for myself. All I'm going to do is go in and out of the objects here, in between here, keeping the ball on the racket. I'll do the same thing on the way back here. It's a great drill for children, like I said, but please try to keep it fresh and keep it fun. So set up whatever you've got in the garage. I've got a cooler here. Make an obstacle course, challenge them, keep them entertained. This final drill I'm going to show you today is going to get you to start rallying and using that swing in a live ball situation. First thing I want to do is get used to using my non-dominant hand. So for me, that'll be my left hand. I'm gonna hold the racket at the top of the grip, my non-dominant hand in that grip we talked about earlier. All I'm gonna do is hit the ball against the wall with my non-dominant hand. This is really important because oftentimes, not only in tennis, but our everyday lives, we aren't using that non-dominant hand. So we gotta build that strength up, get comfortable using it for the two-handed backhand. Once I feel good about that non-dominant left-handed forehand for me, I'm gonna start to alternate. So I'll hit one left-handed forehand, put my dominant hand on the racket. Keep alternating here, trying to keep that rally going. Get used to using both hands there on the backhand. Last drill, it's going to be hitting the ball against the wall with both hands on the racket or two-handed backhands. I'm going to set up a little target for myself. You can use anything that you can just put on the wall real quickly. I've got some painter's tape here. I ran out of tape, so I had to improvise. I made myself a little U here, and I'm going to try to hit that ball right in the middle. So I'll come on back here. All I'm going to do is challenge myself to hit every single backhand in my target there. Working on my 5 parameters, hitting that ball against the wall, keeping that rally going. Today, we went over some of the advantages and disadvantages, the grips we're going to use, the parameters, and then finally some drills we can do with our two-handed backhand. If this is something that you're interested in changing, so if you're using a one-handed backhand and you want to put that second hand on the racket, or vice versa, please consult with your local pro, local tennis instructor, and see if it's the right move for your game. The last thing I want to end on is keep finding ways to get better while we're stuck in our houses during this tough time. Not only is it going to help you improve your game, but it's also a great way to stay active, keep your mind fresh while we're stuck in quarantine here. Thank you everybody for watching. Look forward to talking to you again soon.